what you said, right? It's really important to internalize, in my view, the idea of the notion that you should be always looking to kill your idea early. The earlier you kill an idea that's not working, the better off you are as a studio and as a designer, right? And we learned this many times. I've obviously learned this when I was at Zynga, when I was at Tiny Mughal Games, and here at Big Fat Phoenix Interactive, we saw with a couple of features that we should have killed it a lot earlier in the thing. You know the one I'm talking about, and we'll talk about that. But it's really important to be able to kill an idea quickly, because if two reasons. If you don't, like you said, you end up over investing and spending too much money by the time you realize that it's not working, and then that's too much of an overhead to bear, and studios shut down. We've seen studios, large companies, close down because of an over investment into a thing that should have been killed earlier. And the other thing is, even if you end up killing a good idea, that's okay. The loss is not great. You lost potential, but you didn't lose money. There'll be other good ideas that come. Right? But killing an idea early is so important, to get into that groove of having the courage to be able to say that no, what we're doing is not working. We should maybe either radically fix it or build something new. Right? I mean, do you want to talk about something from Fairside Stories, for example? Do you want to talk about the feature that shall not be named?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can name it. It's not a problem. Yeah. So we were building this feature that we internally called, we call it many names. I think we settled on secrets eventually. I think we started with calling it comics. We ended up calling it secrets. It was actually a very simple feature, but implementing it was really complicated because our backend and our systems are like actually way more complex than the game even suggests. We made a couple of mistakes through the process of integrating that feature. I think pre-production we did really well. We wrote the spec really quickly. We knew why we were doing it, what we wanted the feature to achieve. We knew all of that. And then when we went to the production phase, our processes fell apart. We had a little bit of bad luck in terms of like timing. We have a very small team, so that didn't help. But eventually what happened was, what should have taken perhaps 3 weeks to build, that feature took us, I want to say, 2.5 months to build, which for a startup is like, in retrospect, I'm thinking that was death. I don't know why we didn't kill it in advance. Clearly, we're all still learning. But I think if we had stopped to identify, okay, why is it taking us so long to build this? We could have fixed it early, because eventually what happened, and that's the most important part of it, not that it took too much time to build, but once we shipped the feature, it didn't do anything to our metrics. Thankfully, we didn't tank anything. But for the amount of time that we spent on this, and you have to understand, in a small team, if you're spending time on one feature, that means you're not spending time on another feature. And that's really important to keep in mind, because if you do something and it either tanks your metrics or doesn't do anything for it, that means you've already spent that money, you've spent that time that you could have built something else that could have worked for you. So not that I regret it. I think for any failure that I experience, I'm glad to have learned from it. I just wish I had learned it faster, I think.
Yeah. No, I think to what you said in terms of the opportunity cost, I think the question that all teams have to ask themselves, and why it's important to kill something and not double down on it, is the question that you need to ask is, what is the best use of my time and money? And from now, not because of the sunk cost thing that comes in, the sunk cost policy, that I've already built this and I'm really going in there and I kill it quickly, because that may not be the best use of your time and money.
No, absolutely. I think even I would go so far as to say, even killing it later than earlier is better than not killing an idea at all. It's really important to constantly be surveilling that and saying, should we kill it? Okay, somebody said no, fine, now should we kill it? That's really important. To be on that lookout to say, is it actually working, is really important.
Yeah.